Sit down, please. Sit. Calm, quiet, serene.
Hi, Gary.
Yeah, this is the Gary Russell Show, and you've got me now. I'm going to ask something very, very annoying, and lots of people are probably going to frown at me, and I don't care. Can we shut the doors at the back, please? So we don't get tons and tons of noise coming through. The people sitting at the back really can't hear what's being said on stage if those doors are open, because there's so much noise from outside. So if someone could shut the doors, that's a hint, please shut the doors. No, everyone's just looking at me like I've asked for the moon on a stick. Oh, there's always a comedian. Don't think I didn't notice who that was. Right. Oh, I didn't need to shout then, did I? Right. Time for our next panel. Can I just ask, please, no one, when I throw it open to the audience, and I will do, no one asks for hugs and kisses and making presentations of toys or anything like that. Please don't do that. Just ask lots of lovely questions, because they'll all be better than the ones I'm going to start off with. Will you please welcome to the stage the fantastic Billie Piper. Hey Billie.
Hi,
how are you doing?
I'm well, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Now then, I want to start off just by saying a huge thank you to you on behalf of everyone here, because lots of people probably don't know this, some do, but on Wednesday we thought you weren't coming, and you were ill, and then bravely, and possibly slightly insanely, the next thing we hear is, no, Billie's flying over, she's on the plane, she's already on her way, and here you are, doing your first North American production.
Thank you.
So we're very grateful.
I wasn't trying to be provocative or tease anyone. I was just, yeah.
How are you feeling though? Are you
I
much
feel,
better?
yeah, it's a vast improvement. Although now I've hit that jet lag wall.
Yeah.
So forgive me if I seem actual vacant or boring.
I don't think boring is possible, and if I think you're going to be vacant, I'm just going to or something
if I
wake
just
you
do
up.
this.
So, I'm sure everyone there has probably got 10 million questions about Doctor Who and things like that, which we'll come to later.
Okay.
I want to talk to you about Billie Piper, the human being, the person. Yeah, I know. Sorry. You're a showbiz legend. Certainly, you hold the record. Lots of people, you might not know this. You were a pop star before you were an actor.
Yeah.
And you hold the record as the youngest person ever to get to #1 in the UK charts.
Yeah.
3 times. So I wanted to ask you, really, how did you become a pop star? Because in this day and age, with your X Factors and your American Idols and everything, it seems to be quite easy to become a pop star, but that wasn't the case for you. So how did it all happen?
I was at drama school studying drama and theatre, and we did singing and dancing, but it wasn't something I particularly wanted to follow. And I was also doing a bit of modelling, and this guy called Hugh Goldsmith came to my school, having seen me on the front of a music magazine, and was looking to sign a younger female soloist to kind of launch his own label. And he came to school and asked me if I wanted to record a demo tape, if I had any inclination to sing, and I obviously kind of went, yeah. I'd love to leave school and, travel around the world and become a pop star. And so, I mean, it kind of was as simple as that. I did a demo, that went well, and then we started recording an album, and I think I just turned 14.
That is phenomenal.
Yeah. it's almost wrong.
What was it scary? I mean, as a 14-year-old, you were suddenly putting yourself in the hands of a lot of other people, presumably.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really scared because I was 14. I was totally fearless and so green. I didn't really know what I was in for. And my parents were much the same. We just couldn't believe it, you know, it was such a wild opportunity. And so I just kind of threw myself into it. It's only later that I kind of thought, that's probably wasn't necessary at that age, you know. So, but obviously it has served me quite well, really.
And did you get to sort of travel the world and do things, or was it very sort of Euro-centred?
No, I travelled the world. I went to Australia, to Japan, you know, I mean, literally everywhere. And of course I didn't appreciate any of it because I was 14 and just desperate to be at home smoking cigarettes with my friends, you know. It's only now that I'm really feeling how great it is to travel. And, you know, that's another reason why it's so good to do these, because it kind of takes us everywhere. But yeah.
Is it the sort of, I mean, jumping the gun completely here, is it the sort of thing that if your own kids, by the time they're sort of 14, 15, are going...
I will not let them do
won't?
it. No. No way. It's just a steadfast no. And I'm not judging my own parents for letting me do that, because I was really bolshy as a child and really front-footed, and there's no way that they couldn't let me, really, because I really led that entire thing. And I had, you know, the act of persuasion. I was really annoying and precocious. And so they didn't really have a choice. And they had 3 other kids to take care of, and I think the whole thing was just totally overwhelming. But yeah, I wouldn't let my kids near it. And I don't know whether that is a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's you know, potentially very crazy and damaging for people to have enormous fame from a really young age. I don't think it's necessary.
But it doesn't appear to have damaged you in any way.
Fortunately, I have really good parents and a really strong set of friends who I've had for years. And I think had I stayed singing, I probably would have wound up in trouble, because it wasn't what I really wanted to do. So I always felt like a charlatan, and that became more and more pronounced the older I got, you know. But fortunately, then I started acting again. And
So did you drift into the acting, or was there a conscious decision where you went, I've made 2 albums, I've had some #1 singles, I'm going to do something different? Or was it just a casual thing that just drifted?
No, I actively stopped because I was being a bit wild and cuckoo, and I thought now would be a time to study again. So I started studying in LA. Actually, I came out here and started studying again for about 6 months. And then went home, got an agent, and started doing the whole, you know, up for auditions, rejection, back to the drawing board.
So did you find then that because of your pop star background, people weren't taking you seriously as an actor?
Yeah, I think there were lots of hurdles, and I think they kind of would let me in the room just because they were intrigued, and which is kind of awful. And then I did Dancey, Monkey, and you know, and some of it worked, and some of it, you know, kind of fell through. And but I think you start to earn people's trust, and you do, you know, a good job, and they keep, you know, giving you opportunities and chances. Yeah. But I think it was tough at the beginning, for sure.
So you don't regret leaving the music behind?
No, God no.
Do people come up to you and wave CDs at you and say, oh, can you sign this? And you go...
Very rarely now, and I don't mind it actually, but if I go somewhere and someone plays it, I still get like... I don't know, I can't let it go. I just want to push it away, ignore it if it happens, and have people embrace what I'm doing now, which they have. So I've got nothing to complain about, really.
So let's talk about moving then into the acting. How soon after you'd made that decision did Doctor Who come along for you?
I probably about a year later. And I got the script, and I remember I was in the countryside, in the garden, and I got it, and I thought, oh, I'd never seen Doctor Who before, as you know, I told you yesterday. But the thought that they were bringing it back and relaunching it, and I knew that Christopher Eccleston was somehow involved, well, playing the Doctor, somehow involved, lead role. And so that was really appealing because I really admired him as an actor, and also Russell T Davies was writing it, and I loved his work. And I read Rose, and I just thought, yeah, she's awesome.
She really is.
She's so awesome. It's such a great character. Really, it's a gift. It's a real gift. They really, it landed in my lap in such a brilliant way, and I'm so utterly grateful for it. And in many ways, it totally launched my acting career, and I've made my bestest friends. So it's wonderful.
What is it, if you can even define it, I don't know, that leapt off the page of you of that script of Russell's that you went, this is something I want to do?
I think it was the more domestic side of it all, really, the kind of feeling of meeting someone who was really totally otherworldly and 900 years old, and just, so far removed from anything she'd ever seen or known, and him kind of selecting her without really being conscious of it, and her just kind of going on these enormous adventures. It's like it's something we all kind of fantasize about, isn't it? Like walking away from our kind of mundane existence and traveling around with this old dude. Sounds really wrong, but I just think there was something beautifully romantic about it, and charged and mad. It's just so mad, and I think, that's the kind of stuff you want to be involved with, really.
So you said yesterday, and you just said just now, that you weren't familiar with the programme. You never watched Doctor Who because it was obviously quite a long time ago anyway. But were you at least aware of the concept of what it was? And did Russell and Julie sit down with you and say, look, you're going to come into this show and it's going to change your life, and it's going to... Did they give you any kind of briefing, or did they just drop you in it?
Yeah, they just dropped me in it. And we didn't... Russell was obviously a massive fan. We didn't really discuss it beyond every day. Do you know what I mean? It was such an enormous feat, and I think we were all coming to terms with the fact that it was, a lot of us were doing CGI for the first time, and just as a beast, it was so enormous. We were away from home and shooting in Wales. It was 9 months, 3 weeks of night shoots in the first block of filming. We were just totally overwhelmed. So thinking about it in terms of its scale beyond production, I wouldn't even be able to comprehend that, and they certainly didn't labour that. Quite rightly. They didn't want to put us off, and so it happened really organically. Our kind of introduction to the fans, and the force behind the show and its history and its legacy. That I have no idea.
At what point were you sort of out there doing your night filming or whatever location filming, and you suddenly thought, there's an awful lot of people who aren't part of this crew standing over there watching, taking photographs?
Yeah.
That must have been quite daunting.
That happened quite slowly at first, because we were shooting at 4 in the morning, and no one's out at that time, really, not even in London. Us tonight. So it was a kind of trickle effect, really, and when people got wind of it, and it was happening in and around London especially, we started to draw a crowd, and I remember thinking, wow, this is something else.
And there must have been a slightly alarming point, I would have thought, or maybe a really lovely point, where somebody walks up to you and goes, this is your action figure, this is your face on a tea cosy, this is you on a pair of underpants,
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? Do you just sit there and stare at it, or do you embrace that?
I don't feel like that kind of stuff penetrates me at all. I think my concern was about the show and how people would relate to the character and you know that people like that. The merchandise thing, I can't remember ever really feeling it. I remember looking at my doll and thinking, that is the ugliest thing I've ever seen in my life. It's like a rat on steroids with a whip. You know what I mean? It was just, no offense to people who created it. You know I have beef with it. I have since it was created. And it's still there. But that was my only real remark. The other stuff, I think because I had the pop career before, I was, you know, rightly or wrongly, quite familiar with that kind of stuff, you know, calendars and, you know, clothes and, you know, stickers, whatever, you know.
The face of Billie was already out there.
It was, so I wasn't, I couldn't, it didn't really bother me at all.
Now, what was your first meeting with Chris Eccleston like? Had you ever met him before?
No. I'm so nervous. We did it at the BBC in this awful room. It was really badly lit, and he was there, and it was my recall, so I did my second audition with him. Yeah, I mean, it was terrifying, because he's such a presence, you know, he's an enormous presence. He's tall and he's strong, and he's, you know, very northern. You know, he's got quite an intense vibe. He's an intense man. And obviously, I'd really admired him, so I had to deal with all of that. But he was so warm and charming and, you know, vulnerable in front of me.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you had your family.
Yes.
You had Camille and Noel.
I know.
What was it like working with them?
Well, Camille became like a second mother, really. I haven't seen her a lot recently because I've had children and I don't see anyone anymore. But she was